We DVR'd The Simpsons because that's as a family, that's one of our favorite shows. So we DVR'd and they did all Simpsons ever marathon, and I think that's over, but a lot records, and we've got all the Treehouse of Horrors. And we were watching the one last night with the girls. I was watching the one with the girls, and it was about the Y2K and about people were panicky and all this Y2K stuff, and weird stuff was happening, like a milk carton sprung a leak. I mean, that's one example of something that's totally not related, but they had no idea what the Y2K was. And I kind of explained the theory to them a little bit. Well, Sarah was the only one who was even in utero. The other two had never even heard of Y2K. But I said, in theory it was sound. It wouldn't affect everything like that, but it would affect all the electronic things, because there was a computer glitch. People were thinking about, when it switched from 99 to 00, how it would screw up and all the computers would crash, and because so much is run by computer. Utility companies have the massive computers. They would have stopped. Air traffic control would have stopped, and they would have had malfunctioning vehicles, malfunctioning phones, equipment, TVs, whatever. There was a lot of stuff that was going to happen. But, in the Simpsons style, of course, they did do things that had nothing to do with electrical equipment. It was just... But in the bottom line, what this got me thinking about was how people will panic. Y2K couldn't happen, but something like that could happen where electrical devices could be messed up. We could have a massive EMP, which would fry all electrical devices, and I think that people would panic. First world panic. I don't think that all around the world, I don't think that other countries would panic so much, but first world, because there are millions and millions of people here in America who don't know how to cook their own food without a microwave. If their TV stopped working, what would they do? Their entire life is wrapped up in their phone. What if their phone stopped working? And could we get to our friend's house? I don't know. A lot of people don't know where their friends live. They'd have to MapQuest it, or they'd have to drive to it. And if they're not able to do that, then they would not know what to do, and they'd panic. I think there would be mass panic in America if we had something like that where electrical devices failed. Now, it doesn't cover mechanical devices. Some vehicles, auto vehicles, are mechanical. They don't have electrical devices. But for the most part, cars that come out now have computer chips. They have electrical components that would be fried by an EMP. And they'd stop working. People would go crazy. Go crazy. Where would you bug out? Really, what would you do to survive? Because mob mentality, what it is, you would have rioting, you would have stores would be chaos, and at that point, I don't know what would happen, really. But it could be weird. So we've got to, as individuals, you've got to choose some survival techniques. You've got to learn how to make your own fire. You've got to learn how to live without maybe running water. Because if the computers that run the utility companies got fried, running water could stop. We might not have indoor plumbing. What would you do? Could you survive very long? Yeah, and I guess it ties up in my head. It ties up about all the prepper shows that I watch. Big part of prepping, because I don't have a bunker. I don't have a bunch of food saved up. I've never used a gun. But part of prepping is mental. A big part of prepping is mental. And I think I'm mentally prepared if I didn't have that, because I don't rely heavily on computers and phones. I love doing these vlogs, but if I couldn't do them, I couldn't do them. I don't rely so heavily on them. I think life would change dramatically. TV company would need it. So I'd be out of work. What would I do in the apocalypse? In the after society, the post-technology society? I don't know what I would do. But part of it's mental. Theoretically, I think I could figure out something. I could figure out what to do because I can speak, and I'm a fairly good communicator, and I think that's going to be necessary because you've got to have leaders. You've got to have people communicate what needs to be done. Thinkers, planners. I can still write. A lot of people couldn't write. If they didn't have a computer where they could type stuff up, they wouldn't know how to write. I can still do that. I can start a fire. I can build a tent. That's important stuff. I walk. I know a lot of people, you hear a mile walk. Oh my goodness, I can never do a mile. They just freak out. I'm like, dude, that's 15 minutes of your life. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And after a mile walk, your legs are not going to kill you unless you've never done a walk before. I can walk. I could physically survive stuff. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy thinking. What are you prepared in your mind for what might happen? I mean, there's a possibility that something EMP, financial collapse, zombie apocalypse, that's a big stretch, but it's a possibility. It might be. I was talking to a friend the other day, said he really thinks something medical is going to happen. And it's going to lead to a zombie apocalypse. And I think he's probably right. We could have some kind of funky disease that won't be the same, but it will be. I mean, you'll have to be prepared. Will you be prepared? Because, something's going to happen. In our lifetime, something will happen that will require us to mobilize, require us to be physical, will require us to work more than we're used to. I think it could lead to technology. And the countries, third world countries, they're used to surviving. They're used to fixing their own food. They're used to walking to get water. I mean, I don't think they will be as impacted as us first world countries when there's a technology boo-boo. I don't know what to call it yet. Boo-boo.